A little girl vanished without a whisper, until one chilling clue blew the mystery wide open. You won't believe what they found. Before we dive in, drop your location in the comments. Hit like and subscribe for more jaw-dropping tales. Let's get started. The sun hung low over Willow Bend on Tuesday, May 14th, casting a golden glow across the sleepy village. Samuel Hayes pulled his dusty pickup truck into the gravel driveway of his small weathered house. The 38-year-old man sat still for a moment, his calloused hands resting on the steering wheel. He exhaled slowly, feeling the ache of another long day settle into his bones. He had just returned from the sheriff's office, where he'd begged for any news about his missing daughter. None came. Samuel climbed out of the truck, his boots crunching against the gravel. 2 months had passed since his 8-year-old daughter Lila vanished. 2 months of sleepless nights, endless questions, and a hollow pain that never eased. He unlocked the front door, stepping into a home that felt too big without her. His eyes landed on Lila's yellow raincoat, still draped over a chair from the day she disappeared. The sight twisted something deep inside him. He walked past it, into the living room, where a small wooden horse sat on the coffee table. Lila had carved it with him last fall, her tiny hands guiding the knife under his watchful eye. Now it sat untouched, a silent reminder of her absence. He moved to the kitchen, setting his keys on the counter. A stack of flyers spilled from his jacket pocket, each one showing Lila's face. Her wide grin, her curly brown hair, her hazel eyes that sparkled with life. Samuel ran his thumb over the photo, his chest tightening. He couldn't stop reliving that day, March 17th. It had been ordinary at first. He'd left Lila with his sister, Clara, while he worked a shift at the lumber mill. Lila had been outside, chasing butterflies near Clara's porch. Clara stepped inside to grab a glass of water, and when she returned, Lila was gone. No sound, no sign, just an empty yard. The sheriff arrived within the hour. Deputies searched the woods, questioned neighbors, and checked every corner of Willow Bend. Nothing turned up. It was as if the earth had swallowed her whole. Samuel leaned against the counter, staring at the flyers. Sheriff Bailey's words from earlier that day echoed in his mind. "We're doing all we can, Sam, but without fresh leads, it's tough." The unspoken truth lingered. They might never find her. Samuel refused to believe that. He'd keep looking, no matter how long it took. He filled a glass with water and stood by the sink, gazing out the window. The village stretched before him, quiet and still under the fading light. He took a sip, then set the glass down. His phone buzzed on the counter, pulling him from his thoughts. It was a message from the Help Find Lila Hayes group he'd started online. The page had grown to over 2,000 followers, with people from Willow Bend and beyond offering support. He opened the app, scrolling through the latest posts. Messages of encouragement filled the screen. A local diner had put up Lila's flyer in their window. A group of volunteers planned to search the riverbank again tomorrow. Then, a new message popped up. Samuel's heart thudded as he read it. It was from a man named Vernon Price. The profile showed a weathered face, a grey beard and tired eyes. "Found something odd in Riverside Park today," the message said. "A little cloth pouch with flowers sewn on it. Saw your posts about Lila liking flowers. Couldn't reach you by phone." Samuel's breath caught. He remembered the pouch. He'd made it for Lila last summer, stitching daisies on it because she loved them. She carried it everywhere, stuffing it with treasures like rocks and feathers. He checked his call log. Sure enough, 3 missed calls from an unknown number stared back at him. How had he missed them? He'd been so careful, always answering every ring, terrified of missing a lead. His hands shook as he typed a reply. "Is it still there? I'm coming now." Vernon responded instantly. "Yes, it's here. I'll wait by the park's old oak tree." Samuel grabbed his keys and jacket, his pulse racing. This could be it, the first real clue in weeks. Or it could be another dead end. Either way, he had to know. Samuel's truck roared out of the driveway, tires spitting gravel as he sped toward Riverside Park. The village of Willow Bend blurred past his windows, its quaint houses and blooming dogwoods fading into the dusk. His mind churned with questions. How had Lila's pouch ended up in the park? Was this a sign she'd been there, or had someone taken it from her? He gripped the steering wheel tighter, pushing the truck faster. The park sat on the edge of town, a sprawling patch of green with winding paths and a slow-moving creek. It was a place Lila loved, where she'd spent hours hunting for shiny pebbles. He pulled into the parking lot, the engine still rumbling as he scanned the area. A few evening walkers dotted the paths, their dogs tugging at leashes. Samuel's eyes locked on the old oak tree near the creek, its gnarled branches stretching wide. A man stood beneath it, hands in the pockets of a faded green jacket. That had to be Vernon Price. Samuel cut the engine and stepped out, his boots sinking into the soft earth as he hurried over. The air carried the faint scent of damp grass and wildflowers, a stark reminder of Lila's love for the outdoors. Vernon turned as Samuel approached, his weathered face creasing with concern. He was older than his profile picture suggested, with deep lines etched around his eyes. "You must be Samuel Hayes," Vernon said, his voice rough but kind. Samuel nodded, catching his breath. "Yeah, I'm Sam. You found something of Lila's." Vernon reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small cloth pouch. It dangled from his fingers, the daisy stitches catching the last of the sunlight. Samuel's stomach lurched. It was hers, no doubt about it. He could still picture Lila sewing those flowers with him, her tongue poking out in concentration. "I was clearing brush by the creek this afternoon," Vernon explained. "Saw this caught on a root near the water. I've been working this park for 12 years, and I don't miss much. Then I remembered your posts about Lila and her flower pouch. Tried calling you right away." Samuel stared at the pouch, his hands itching to take it. "It's hers," he said, his voice thick. "I made it for her last summer. She never went anywhere without it." Vernon nodded, holding it out. "Didn't want to move it at first. Thought it might mean something, but I figured you'd want to see it." Samuel took the pouch, his fingers brushing the rough stitches. He turned it over, noticing a small tear along the seam. Something felt off. Lila always kept it tied shut with a thin cord, but the cord was gone now. He looked up at Vernon. "Why didn't you call the sheriff?" Vernon shifted his weight, glancing at the creek. "Wanted to be sure it was hers first. Folks around here lose things all the time. Didn't want to stir up trouble if it was nothing." Samuel understood, but time was slipping away. "It's something," he said firmly. "I'm calling Sheriff Bailey now. Can you stay until he gets here?" Vernon agreed, and Samuel dialed the sheriff's number. It rang once before Bailey picked up. "Sam, what's going on?" the sheriff asked, his tone sharp with curiosity. Samuel explained quickly, his words tumbling out. "Vernon Price, the park worker, found Lila's pouch by the creek in Riverside Park. It's hers, Sheriff. I'm here with him now." Bailey didn't hesitate. "Stay put. I'm on my way with a deputy. Don't touch anything else." The call ended, and Samuel pocketed his phone, his eyes scanning the park. The peaceful scene felt wrong now, like it was hiding something. Minutes later, Sheriff Bailey's patrol car rolled into the lot, lights flashing silently. The sheriff stepped out, a tall man with a graying mustache and a no-nonsense stride. Deputy Lopez followed, her notepad already in hand. Bailey tipped his hat to Vernon. "Evening, Vern. Show me where you found it." Vernon led them to the creek, pointing at a tangle of roots jutting from the bank. "Right there," he said. "It was snagged on that thick one." Bailey crouched, studying the spot. The ground was soft, marked with faint impressions that could have been footprints, though the rain from 2 days ago had blurred them. Samuel stood back, clutching the pouch. His mind raced. Lila had vanished from Clara's porch, nearly a mile from here. How did her pouch end up by the creek? Had she wandered off somehow, or had someone brought it here? Bailey stood, brushing dirt from his hands. "This is a lead, Sam. We'll bag it for evidence, check for anything useful. Prints, fibers, anything." Deputy Lopez scribbled notes, then looked at Vernon. "You see anyone around here today? Anything unusual?" Vernon scratched his beard. "Not today, but last week I saw a guy fishing by the bridge. Kept his hat low, didn't talk much. Thought he was just shy." Samuel's pulse quickened. "What'd he look like?" Vernon shrugged. "Tall, skinny, wore a red cap and a dark jacket. Didn't get a good look at his face." Bailey exchanged a glance with Lopez. "We'll need a full statement, Vern. Sam, this pouch changes things." We're treating this spot as a scene now." As the deputy began taping off the area, Bailey pulled Samuel aside. "I've got a hunch," he said quietly. "There's a bait shop across the street. They've got a camera pointing this way. Might have caught something from the day Lila went missing." Samuel's hope flared. "Can we check it now?" Bailey nodded. "Already called the owner. He's meeting us there." They crossed the street to the bait shop, a squat building with peeling paint and a flickering sign. The owner, a wiry man named Gus, waited by the door, keys jangling in his hand. "Heard about your girl," Gus said to Samuel, his voice gruff. "Hope this helps." Inside, Gus booted up an old computer, pulling up footage from March 17th. The screen flickered to life, showing a grainy view of the park entrance. Samuel leaned in, his heart pounding. At first it was just villagers passing by, an old woman with a cane, a kid on a bike. Then, at 2:47 p.m., a figure appeared. A tall, thin man in a red cap and dark jacket crossed into the park, pulling a small girl by the arm. She wore a blue dress, her curly hair bouncing as she stumbled behind him. Samuel's breath stopped. "That's Lila," he whispered. "That's my girl." The man's face stayed hidden, angled away from the camera, but his grip on her arm was tight. Bailey's jaw tightened. "We've got him on tape. This proves she was here that day." Samuel stared at the frozen image, his hands curling into fists. Lila looked scared, her small frame dwarfed by the man. "Why is he holding her like that?" he asked, his voice shaking. Bailey studied the screen. "He's keeping her close, avoiding the camera. This wasn't random. He knew what he was doing." Gus scratched his head. "Camera only catches the entrance. Don't know where they went after that." The sheriff turned to Samuel. "This is big, Sam. We'll send this to every station in the county, see if anyone recognizes him. We'll dig deeper here too, check the creek, the bridge, everything." Samuel nodded, his mind spinning. The pouch had led them to this. A glimpse of Lila alive after she'd vanished. But who was this man, and where had he taken her? As they stepped outside, the night settling over Willow Bend, Samuel felt a fire ignite inside him. They had a trail now, and he wouldn't stop until it led him to his daughter. Sheriff Bailey wasted no time. He called in more deputies to Riverside Park, their patrol cars lining the street as floodlights bathed the creek in a harsh glow. Samuel stood by the bait shop, watching the officers swarm the area. The footage of Lila and the man in the red cap looped in his mind, her small hand in his, her unsteady steps. It fueled a restless energy inside him. He couldn't just stand there. He approached Bailey, who was barking orders into a radio. "I need to do something," Samuel said, his voice firm. "Let me help." Bailey lowered the radio, eyeing him. "Best thing you can do is take that footage online, post it on your group. Someone might know this guy." Samuel nodded, pulling out his phone. He uploaded the blurry stills from Gus's camera to the Help Find Lila Hayes page, typing a quick message. "New evidence in Lila's case. This man was with her at Riverside Park on March 17th. If you recognize his hat, jacket, or anything, call the sheriff now." He hit send, watching the post spread like wildfire. Shares climbed fast, comments flooding in from Willow Bend and beyond. Deputy Lopez jogged over, her face tense. "Sheriff, we found something by the bridge." Samuel followed as Bailey hurried to the wooden footbridge spanning the creek. An officer knelt there, holding up a child's hair clip. It was bright green, shaped like a butterfly. Samuel's heart skipped. "That's Lila's," he said, his voice catching. "She wore it that day." Bailey took the clip, turning it over. "Vernon mentioned a fisherman here last week. Could be our guy. We'll test this for anything useful." Samuel stared at the clip, picturing it, tangled in Lila's curls. It was another piece of her, left behind. Back at the park entrance, Samuel's phone buzzed. A message from a woman named Ellie Carver popped up. "Saw your post. That red cap looks like one my neighbor wears. Lives on Pine Road, keeps to himself." Samuel's pulse raced. He showed it to Bailey. "Could be a lead." The sheriff nodded. "We'll check it out. Lopez, run a list of residents on Pine Road. Sam, keep working that page." Samuel dove back into the comments, replying to every tip, his fingers flying. Most were guesses, but Ellie's stood out. Pine Road was close, just beyond the village's old mill. As the night deepened, deputies combed the creek banks, their flashlight beams slicing through the dark. Vernon lingered nearby, helping mark spots he'd seen disturbed. Samuel watched him, grateful for the man's sharp eyes. Without that pouch, they'd still be grasping at nothing. His phone buzzed again, this time a call from Clara, his sister. "Sam, you okay?" she asked, her voice shaky. "Heard about the park on the radio." Samuel filled her in, keeping it brief. "We've got footage, Clara. Leela was here with some guy. I think we're close." She went quiet, then said, "Bring her home, Sam, please." He hung up, his resolve hardening. The sheriff's radio crackled, pulling his attention. "Bailey, we've got a match on Pine Road," the deputy said. "Name's Travis Morrow, lives alone, owns a red cap and dark jacket. Neighbors say he's been gone since yesterday." Bailey's eyes narrowed. "Get a unit to his place, now." Samuel followed as they piled into Bailey's car, speeding toward Pine Road. The street was narrow, lined with sagging houses and overgrown yards. Travis's place sat at the end, a single-story home with chipped paint and a crooked mailbox. 2 deputies were already there, peering through a cracked window. "Lights are off," one reported. "No truck in the drive." Bailey knocked hard on the door. No answer. He signaled Lopez, who pried it open with a tool. Inside, the air was stale, thick with the smell of old coffee. Samuel stepped in, his eyes darting around. A kitchen table held a half-eaten sandwich. A coat rack stood by the door, empty except for a single red cap. His stomach twisted. It matched the footage perfectly, Lopez called from the back room. "Sheriff, over here." They rushed to a cluttered bedroom where a corkboard hung on the wall. Pinned to it were maps of Willow Bend, marked with red ink. One circled Riverside Park. Another traced a route into the hills beyond town, ending at a spot labeled Cabin. Samuel's blood ran cold. "He's got a hideout," he said, pointing. Bailey studied the map, then grabbed his radio. "All units, we've got a possible location, abandoned cabin, 5 miles north in the hills. Move out." The drive to the hills felt endless, the road twisting through dense pines. Samuel sat in the passenger seat, clutching Lila's pouch. He imagined her out there, scared and alone with this man, Travis Morrow. The name burned in his mind. Bailey's radio crackled with updates. Choppers scanning the treetops, canine units prepping to track. They reached a dirt path, barely wide enough for the car. Ahead, a weathered cabin emerged from the shadows, its windows dark. A rusty pickup truck sat parked beside it, mud caked on the tires. Bailey signaled for silence as deputies fanned out, surrounding the place. Samuel stayed back, his heart hammering. A light flickered inside, then went out. Someone was there. Bailey crept to the door, weapon drawn, and kicked it open. "Sheriff's Department! Come out now!" A tense beat passed. Then a man stumbled into view, hands raised. He was tall and wiry, his face pale under a mop of greasy hair. "Don't shoot," he rasped. It was Travis. "Where's the girl?" Bailey demanded, stepping closer. Travis flinched. "She's fine, in the back." Samuel pushed past, ignoring Bailey's shout. He tore through the cabin, past a sagging couch and a wood stove, to a small room. There, curled on a cot, was Lila. Her blue dress was dirty, her hair a mess, but she was breathing. "Lila!" Samuel cried, dropping to his knees. She stirred, her eyes fluttering open. "Daddy?" Her voice was small, but it was hers. He scooped her up, holding her tight. She clung to him, her thin arms trembling. Bailey hauled Travis outside, cuffs snapping onto his wrists. Deputies swarmed the cabin, securing the scene. Samuel carried Lila to the car, her head resting on his shoulder. "You're safe now," he whispered. "I've got you." She nodded weakly, clutching his shirt. As medics arrived to check her, Bailey approached, his face grim. "Travis is talking. Says he saw her by the porch, lured her with candy, took her here to keep her company. We'll get the full story." Samuel looked at Lila, her butterfly clip still in his pocket from the bridge. The pieces fit together now. The pouch by the creek, the clip, the footage. Travis had dragged her through the park, then out here. Anger flared in Samuel, but relief drowned it out. She was alive. Back at the sheriff's station, the night blurred into chaos. Medics examined Lila, confirming she was shaken but unharmed beyond hunger and fear. Samuel stayed by her side, answering questions as deputies processed Travis. A quiet figure approached them in the station lobby. It was Vernon, his green jacket slung over his arm. "Heard you found her," he said, his voice soft. Samuel stood, gratitude flooding him. "Yeah, thanks to you. That pouch started it all." Vernon smiled faintly, just glad she's okay. As he walked away, Samuel realized how one man's notice had unraveled the mystery. Leela squeezed his hand, pulling him back. "Can we go home, Daddy?" she asked. He nodded, tears stinging his eyes. "Yeah, baby, let's go home." Samuel carried Lila to the truck, her small body limp with exhaustion against his chest. Clara followed, her footsteps soft on the gravel as they left the sheriff's station behind. The night air in Willow Bend was crisp, laced with the scent of pine from the nearby hills. He settled Leela in the passenger seat, buckling her in as her head lolled against the window. Clara climbed in the back, her hands clasped tight. "She's really here," she murmured, almost to herself. Samuel started the engine, his eyes on his daughter. "Yeah," he said, "she's home." The drive through the village was quiet, streetlights casting pools of gold on the road. Samuel's mind churned with everything he'd learned. Travis's journal, Ruth's confession, Lila's halting words to the counselor. It painted a picture he couldn't unsee. A man who'd watched his daughter for weeks, plotting to take her. He glanced at Leela, her butterfly clip now tucked in his pocket. She'd held on to her spirit through it all, and that gave him strength. As they pulled into the driveway, the house loomed ahead, its windows dark but welcoming. Inside, Samuel laid Leela on the couch, pulling a quilt over her. She stirred, mumbling, "Daddy, don't go." He sat beside her, brushing her curls. "I'm right here, kiddo." Clara brewed tea in the kitchen, the clink of mugs a steady rhythm. She brought Samuel a cup, her eyes puffy from crying. "What now, Sam?" she asked, sitting across from him. He took a sip, the warmth grounding him. "We help her heal. Counselors coming tomorrow, sheriffs handling Travis. We just keep going." Clara nodded, her gaze on Lila. "She's tougher than she looks." Morning broke over Willow Bend, sunlight spilling through the curtains. Leela woke slowly, blinking at the familiar room. Samuel watched her sit up, the quilt sliding off. "Hungry?" he asked. She nodded, and he made her favorite, pancakes with extra syrup. She ate quietly, a flicker of her old self in the way she licked her fingers. Clara joined them, managing a smile. "Butterflies'll be out soon," she said. "We could watch 'em later." Lila perked up a little. "By the porch?" Samuel's chest tightened, but he kept his voice steady. "Yeah, right here, where it's safe." A knock at the door broke the moment. It was Sheriff Bailey, his hat in hand. "Morning, Sam," he said, stepping inside. "Got updates?" Samuel motioned him to the table, where Lila stayed close. Bailey kept his tone light. "Travis is locked up tight, pleaded guilty this morning. Won't see daylight for a long time." Samuel exhaled, relief mixing with anger. "Good," he said. "What else?" Bailey pulled a small bag from his pocket. Inside was Lila's cloth pouch, cleaned and sealed. "Lab's done with it. Found Travis's prints, some dirt from the hills. Ties him to the park in the cabin." Lila reached for the pouch, her fingers tracing the daisy stitches. "He took it," she said softly. "Said it was too pretty for me." Samuel's jaw clenched, but he stayed calm for her. "It's yours again now," he said, handing it over. She clutched it, a small victory. Bailey watched, then added, "There's more. Found a box in his truck, old letters he wrote but never sent. Talked about fixing his life with a kid around. Sick stuff. Helps the case, though." Samuel nodded, grateful for every nail in Travis' coffin. As Bailey left, Ms. Harper, the counselor, arrived. She sat with Lila on the porch, a notebook on her lap. Samuel listened from the doorway as Lila spoke in fits and starts. "He kept me in a room with a big lock," she said. "Gave me bread and jelly beans. Said we'd stay forever." Miss Harper nodded, her voice soothing. "You got out, Lila. That's what matters." Samuel's hands shook, picturing the cabin's bolted door. He stepped away, needing a moment, and found Clara in the kitchen. "She's telling it," he said, his voice rough. Clara hugged him. "She'll get through it, Sam. We all will." Days passed, and Willow Bend began to heal alongside Lila. Neighbors dropped off casseroles. Kids from her school sent drawings. Vernon stopped by with a wooden birdhouse he'd carved. "Thought she might like it," he said, setting it on the porch. Lila smiled, her first real one since the rescue. "For the sparrows?" she asked. Vernon grinned. "Yep, just for them." Samuel thanked him again, the park worker's quiet kindness a thread through the whole ordeal. That afternoon, they hung the birdhouse by the window, Lila pointing where she wanted it. One evening, as Samuel tucked Lila into bed, she looked up at him. "Why'd he pick me, Daddy?" The question hit hard. He sat on the edge of her bed, choosing his words. "Some people are broken inside, Lila. He saw you being happy and thought it'd fix him. But that's not your fault. You're here now, and I won't let anyone take you again." She nodded, clutching her pouch. "Promise?" He kissed her forehead. "Promise." She drifted off, her breathing steady, and Samuel watched her, vowing to keep that pledge. The next morning, a call from Bailey pulled Samuel to the station. "Got something you should see," the sheriff said. In his office, Bailey spread out photos on the desk. They showed a hidden shed in the hills, miles from the cabin. "Hiker found it yesterday," Bailey explained. "Travis stashed supplies there, food, blankets, a kid's book. Looks like he planned to move her again." Samuel stared at the images, a chill running through him. "He wasn't done," he said. Bailey nodded. "Nope. We got him just in time. Shed's locked down now, evidence for court." Back home, Samuel shared the news with Clara. Her face paled. "He'd have kept running," she said. Samuel agreed, the thought haunting him. But Lila's laughter from the yard broke the tension. She was chasing a butterfly, her bare feet in the grass. He stepped outside, watching her twirl. Ms. Harper had said time would mend her, and he saw it starting. That night, the village held a small gathering at Riverside Park. Folks lit candles, their glow reflecting off the creek. Vernon spoke up, his voice carrying, "This place found her for us. Let's keep it ours." Samuel held Lila's hand as they lit a candle together. She looked up at him. "For the pouch?" she asked. He smiled. "For you, kiddo." The crowd hushed, a quiet tribute to what they'd overcome. As they walked home, Clara beside them, Samuel felt the weight lift a little. Travis was gone, locked away. Lila was back, her spirit flickering but growing. The road ahead stretched long, but they'd travel it together. Willow Bend settled into the night, its peace restored, and Samuel knew they'd find their way, one careful step at a time.